Welcome to the community of
engineers, the change agents in the society.
Previously, we studied the deformations with respect to the axial loading, with respect to the torsional loading. Now, the analysis of stress and strain would be performed for the case of pure bending. The structural members subjected to equal and opposite couples M and M' dash in the same longitudinal plane. Here in this beam, the longitudinal axis is along the x-axis and transverse axis is along the y and z-axis, whereas the curved beams are distinguished by the curvature and the radius of curvature. To consider that, take a beam AB, mark points C and D on the axis of the beam, draw tangents from the points C and D. The tangents will be collinear with the axis of the beam. Now draw normals from the points C and D. The normals will be parallel, whereas the parallel lines intersect at infinity. Considering the curved beam, the normals n1 and n2 will intersect at point O, called the center of curvature, whereas the normal distance from the center of curvature between the axes of the beam is called the radius of curvature. Curvature itself is the deviation from the initial straight line of the beam. Now let us consider a rectangular cross-sectional beam. The plane passes through the axis of the beam is known as the neutral plane. Same plane from the cross-section of the beam is called the neutral axis of the beam. From two-dimensional view, this is the neutral plane, and in cross-sectional view or the side view, this is the neutral axis. Now, once the beam is subjected to equal and opposite couples M and M dash, the curvature is formed. And if the curvature is upward from the beam, the curvature is termed as the sagging. And if the center of curvature is downwards from the beam, the curvature is termed as the hogging. Further, for the case of sagging beam, the tension is produced in lower half of the beam due to stretching, and compression is produced in upper half of the beam due to contraction. Similarly, for the case of hogging beam, the tension developed in upper half of the beam and compression developed in lower half of the beam. Due to the development of tension and compression, the resistive forces are produced which causes the stresses in the beam. These stresses are indirect stresses known as the bending stresses. The stresses act normal cross section of the beam. At the neutral plane, the value of bending stress is 0. So the neutral plane is a plane where the magnitude of the strains and the bending stress is 0. Now considering a rectangular cross-section beam of length L, the longitudinal axis is along the x-axis. Cross-section shows the width and height of the beam. The neutral plane passes through the centroid of the beam. It is a geometric center and assume that the entire area is concentrated at this point. For analysis, we have to use the moment of inertia of the beam. Since here the bending is about the z-axis, so the moment of inertia would be about neutral axis, whereas the neutral axis is the intersection of neutral plane and cross section of the beam. The expression of moment of inertia or inertia about the neutral axis is 1 upon 12 bh raised power 3, where b is the width of the beam and h is the height of the beam. Upon application of the moment, the pure bending is produced, means there is no shear force. Now By applying equilibrium conditions, summation of moment is equal to 0. So reaction moment is equal to moment, whereas the shear force is 0. And if the shear force at any section of the member is 0 while bending, the bending is called the pure bending. Now we will derive bending equation, commonly known as the theory of bending, which deals with the pure bending, means the shear stress is 0. For that we have to follow few assumptions. These assumptions are: the first one, initially the beam is straight, beam is made up of homogeneous and isotropic material. Beam obeys the Hooke's law, means the temperature while loading of the beam is kept constant. No stress concentration within the material. Self weight of the beam is not considered for the analysis. The plane transverse section or fibers will remain plane even after the bending. Poisson's effect is neglected. The value of Young's modulus is same for the case of tension and compression. Beam is of prismatic means the cross-sectional area of the beam is constant. Now to derive the bending equation, consider a rectangular cross-section beam marked with A, B, C and D points on the edges. Line EF shows the neutral plane. Also mark a plane GH at distance y from the neutral plane. Neutral axis is shown in the cross-section view. Upon application of the moments, the bending is produced, where O is the center of curvature, theta is the angle corresponding to the neutral plane, and rho is the radius of curvature. Now considering the undeformed member, which is EF, so it is denoted with L. The undeformed member, that is EF, is equal to rho theta. Here EF is the arc which is undeformed, rho is the radius of curvature, and theta is the angle corresponding to the EF. Now for the case of deformed member, let's denote it with L dash, and that is G dash H dash is equal to rho plus y theta. Now from this we calculate the deformation, that is del is equal to L dash minus L equal to rho plus y theta minus rho theta. So the deformation del is equal to y theta. Now considering the longitudinal strain epsilon located at distance y from the neutral plane is going to be epsilon is equal to del upon undeformed dimension. Now this is the deformation and this is the original dimension. So from this we can write this as epsilon is equal to y theta upon rho theta. So we can write this as epsilon is equal to y upon rho. Let's say this is equation 1. Now by applying the Hooke's law, which is sigma is equal to E epsilon. So epsilon is equal to sigma upon E. Now here this sigma is sigma b, which is the bending stress, and E is the Young's modulus of the material. So epsilon is equal to sigma b upon E. So this is equation 2. Now by combining equation 1 and equation 2, we can write this as sigma b upon E is equal to y upon rho. Now after rewriting, we can write this as sigma b is equal to E upon rho into y. Now let's say this is equation 3. Now here E upon rho is taken as constant with respect to the loading and material. So it means sigma b, the bending stress, is directly proportional to the y, which indicates that the variation of the bending stress sigma b is linear from the neutral plane to the outwards. Now further, the stresses are produced because of the reaction forces Now here this is the reaction force which is created like a axial loading. Now to depict this reaction force, reaction forces, we write as dP is equal to sigma b into dA. Here dP is the reaction force which is causing the reaction resisting moment. Now we can write the resisting moment as dm is equal to dP into y. So the moment offered by the beam material to resist the bending in response to the external bending. So by integrating this equation, dm equal to integration dP y. So using the value of dP, so that is sigma b dA into y as dP is equal to sigma b into dA. Further, we can write as E upon rho y dA y as sigma b is equal to E upon rho to y. So finally we can write this as dm is equal to E upon rho to y square dA, where this y square dA is the moment of inertia, or it is inertia about neutral axis, which is calculated by 1 upon 12 bh cube. Now we can write this as m is equal to E upon rho I, or m over I is equal to E upon rho. This is equation 4. Thus we can write equation as m over I is equal to sigma b upon y is equal to E upon rho. Now this is the bending equation. Further, we can write this as sigma b is equal to my upon I. Now this equation is known as the flexural formula or the bending stress. Now for maximum bending stress Bmax, the maximum bending moment C upon I. Now C is the, you can say, the maximum distance from the neutral axis. Now in this expression, if we write this ratio I upon C ratio, this depends upon the geometry of the cross section of the beam. So this ratio can be written as I upon C is equal to S, where S is the elastic section modulus. So above equation can be written as sigma B is equal to M upon S, where S is the section modulus. Now considering section modulus, that is the ratio I upon C, we can write the values of I, that is 1 upon 12 BH cube over H upon 2. So S is equal to 1 upon 6 BH square, or even we can write this section modulus as 1 upon 6 AH. So with this we end our discussion here.